Hey, young Dracavelli, hey. Dracavelli, hey. Dracavelli, hey. Like this. Okay, yeah.
Jello Beats, holla at me.
Name it is instrumental on a tombstone. I killed the beat.
Future Wrestling Podcast, right back here on Future Entertainment. It's been a great night, and NXT Takeover War Games 2 is officially over. Matt, I think, fell asleep on us, but me and Colin are here to get this show started and explain some of the greatness that we had tonight. Colin, thanks for joining me. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. That was a rather good takeover, if I do say so myself.
I would have to agree with you big time on that. While we're talking, I'm going to be editing out Matt on the description of the channel. So
exactly, you got to show up to work to get your shout out.
Yeah. Shout out to Matt for falling asleep. It's the only
I mean, hey, it's 2 in the morning over there.
Yeah,
I don't blame him.
Yeah, I understand. Yep, you got a good point. But Colin, we thought we were only going to have 4 matches for NXT Takeover War Games 2, but we actually didn't. We had a 5th match that was added to the beginning of NXT War Games, and that was Matt Riddle's official takeover debut.
Yes, sir. I'm not entirely caught up with NXT TV, so I don't know if he's had a match on NXT TV. So this might have also been just his NXT debut, regardless. But yeah, we had a little impromptu match on the pre-show. Matt Riddle and Cassius Ohno kind of got at each other with the on the pre-show panel. So I guess Riddle went out there and said, "Hey Ohno, let's settle this," and boy did he ever.
Yes, boy did he ever. You are right. Matt Riddle and Cassius Ohno actually kind of got into a little spat during the pre-show, which went from an hour pre-show to a 30-minute pre-show, which I kind of get it that there's only 4 or 5 matches to really talk about.
Can't really squeeze all that into, can't really extend it all into an hour, so. You there?
Yes, I'm here. JD, let me know if the echo's gone. I think it may have been my charger on my phone that was plugged up to the laptop. Let me know if the echo's gone. Sorry about that, guys. For some reason, this being a wireless headset, it decides to do that sometimes. Not my fault. Well, first things first, though, Colin, I do want to say that after Ohno interrupted Riddle's interview during the kickoff show, like I mentioned, the former UFC welterweight opened takeover by entering the ring to cut a promo on him. And then out came Ohno to tell Riddle, "You are too stupid to know you are not supposed to be out here right now, and too stupid to know you're not ready for takeover." Well, Ohno then asked for a referee to start the impromptu matchup. Riddle instantly landed that running knee for the disappointing 1 shot, 1 kill, pinfall win in a segment meant to introduce Riddle to the new fans of NXT. And I'm on CBSSports.com right now because I wanted to see what some of these people grade the show and grade the matches. And this guy graded this whole match a D+.
I mean, I wouldn't give these kind of matches a grade to begin with. I mean, obviously, yeah, if you're going to look at, match quality and everything for this, yeah, sure, it was a terrible match. All he hit was a knee. But, I mean, at the same time, the match was 5 seconds long. So, I mean, to each their own. Also, shout out to JD saying, and of course, I forgot this, Riddle made his debut, I believe is how he pronounced it. He had a squash match on NXT a few weeks ago. So there was that. That's how Matt Riddle pronounced it. Whether he did it on purpose, he probably not. But But yeah, but I mean, I was excited for this. I liked it. I love Matt Riddle's theme song. I think it's great. I think him versus Ono probably will go on a couple more weeks on the next set of tapings. So, I mean, I'm excited to see what they do. And I think this was a great way to, debut Matt Riddle on NXT Takeover. Obviously, his next match I'm sure it'll be at the next Takeover. I think that match will be, the true showcase of what Matt Riddle can do, and I'm looking forward to it.
Now, for me, okay, I do want to say, yes, people can criticize you all you want on how this match was booked with one knee and a pinfall, but I want to give a shout out to the commentary because they mentioned something very unique, and it kind of made this this whole 5 seconds of a match okay to me. Cassius Ohno has stated that he can hit that forearm shot to Matt Riddle and beat him with one move. And guess what happened? It was the other way around tonight. So the booking for that is okay. And yes, shout out to Kuzan that's in the chat. Sir, you are not invisible.
I love you, Kuzan. I'm so sorry I ignored you. I love you, my man.
Yeah, Kuzan said, "Oh my God, it's Colin." Yeah, I get it too. We're not used
like
to Colin.
Like I said, I'm on that Brock Lesnar schedule with podcasting.
Yeah.
I do the big 4 weekends, and that's it.
So, Colin, do you agree with me that you're okay with with the other way around and how they booked it?
Oh yeah, I'm perfect with it. I thought I did like on commentary how Ono had mentioned that he can hit that one move and knock him out, and that's exactly what Riddle did to Ono. So I think the booking for this was fine. I have no complaints.
I don't have any complaints either. I wouldn't give this a D plus. I would at least give this a C because it was a little bit of a storytelling from the commentary, and that helped. That and Ono literally looked like he sold that perfectly after the match was over. Like he looked like he was completely fucked up.
Oh yeah, he definitely sold it like he had been KO'd and everything. And so I'm excited I'm excited to see Riddle in NXT. And like I said, I'm not gonna rate this match just because I feel like matches like these, like they're not done to say like, oh wow, what a great match, or oh that was terrible. They're done to make a statement. It's like having a debut or a return at an NXT Takeover type thing. This is also kind of in that realm where it's like it's a shock moment type thing. So I count this more as like a moment as opposed to like a match or anything.
Well, JD in the chat. Well, first Kuzan says, "Oh, okay." No, I just wondered if YouTube blacklisted me. No, I don't think anybody would blacklist you, Kuzan. You're too nice of a person. Unless your brother, got you blacklisted, since he likes to damage your stuff too. And JD says 6-second squash match equals no grade.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that a little bit. I can't really even give it a C+, but you can't really grade this even as a D, honestly.
Right. Like I said, that's why it's because it wasn't bad, but it just like I said, it was a squash match, so really it doesn't it doesn't need a grade.
Yeah, it really didn't. But moving on to the first official match, in my opinion, that was announced prior, before that anything, was the NXT Women's Championship match. Shayna Baszler defending her newly won NXT Women's title against Kairi Sane. Colin, what did you think?
I thought it was a good match. Honestly, this was and this is no because they're women or anything. Don't make it that. But in my opinion, I think on every takeover show, I mean this hasn't always been the case, but I feel like the women's title match is always the match where it's like, well, okay. And I mean, it's same thing here. I mean, I think the other 3 matches obviously outshined, this match as the opener and everything, the official opener, for the advertised matches at least. But I mean, still to their credit, I think Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler went out there. They put on a great match. I think there was a lot of interference for sure with the rest of the MMA 4 horsewomen getting involved, and then Dakota Kai and Io Shirai getting involved. But I think it worked out. I think this was definitely a match where it was kind of, I think it was the end to the whole Baszler versus Sane thing, and more of sort of like a transition into the next like big feud. So I think they're gonna do, the MMA 4 horsewomen sans Rousey versus, the Jumping Bomb Angels Part 2 and Dakota Kai. So I mean, I'm excited for that. As far as the match goes, like I said, I liked the match. I didn't mind the interference. I thought I got to give a shout out to Io Shirai pulling off that insane moonsault in skinny jeans and heels, no less. I think she has a better moonsault than Charlotte. I'll say it. So yeah, like I said, I enjoyed the match itself. I'm not gonna say it was the greatest NXT women's match because it obviously wasn't. So I mean, grade wise, I would give this as a B plus. I think a good B plus is where I'd put this match.
For me, I gotta give it a C. I think the interference, there was way too much of it. To me, it really hurts Shayna Baszler because all these months, since she's won the NXT title months ago, she really showcased that she can do everything on her own. Why does she need the other 4 horsewomen now?
Right. Yeah, because I mean, Baszler has been a very dominant, not even champion. She's just been a dominant wrestler in NXT since she's debuted. Why does she need the 4 horsewomen now? So I mean, obviously it's just because they want to introduce them and they want to, eventually, because I mean, I'm sure they'll win in the long run against Sane, Shirai, and Dakota Kai. That way they can move on to the main roster, do, the MMA horsewomen versus the WWE horsewomen. I assume that's kind of their broader picture for all of this, as far as how they're debuting them and so on and so forth. That's kind of where I think they're going with that.
Yeah. Now, Kuzan says this pay-per-view had Bring Me to the Horizon as one of its themes, 11 out of 10 show. JD says 10 minutes of garbage interference, WCW Nitro match, 2 out of 3 falls of nonsense. I get the booking and fine, doesn't mean I'll have to like it.
JD, if it happened in Germany though, 10-star match. I joke, JD. I love you, my friend.
Ray Jr. is in the chat. Welcome, sir. He says I'd rather watch 1998 WCW. Bring me the vomit bag. And then JD says C- for 2 out of 3 falls. Hurts the build for Baszler. Makes Shirai and Sane all look like nerds and ruin the stipulation after a good 1 versus 1 feud. Kuzan says, whoa, harsh. That Asian chick screams too much, is what Ray Jr. says.
That Asian chick, I like it. Well, I mean, Christ, I didn't even notice that screaming. I was more focused in War Games when when Hanson was just going back and forth. It was great. I loved it, but we'll get to that later. So, Logan, so you're saying C for the 2 out of 3 falls match?
Yeah, I can't give it anything else.
That's fair.
Yeah, I just can't. Now, the person on the CBS.com, let's see what he gave the Baszler Kairi Sane match a B+.
See, that's what I'm going. That's what I said.
So,
I think I'll be honest. I think this is one of the few matches where the interference kind of added to the match. I mean, like I said, I'm not saying that's a thing that should have happened. However, I don't think the interference ruined the match, at least for me anyways.
I'm not saying it, I wouldn't say it ruined the match, but I also wouldn't say it completely helped, because I'm okay with interferences. I'm not against it at all. I think maybe the 1 or 2 things that they did was fine, but the 3 and the 4 is just pushing it a little bit, because then it's just like, what's the ref doing? The fans are gonna just be
I think if they would have done, because I mean they had the initial first interference between the MMA horsewomen and Kairi Sane, where no one came out and they just kind of got the upper hand. If they would have not done that one, and they would have just done the one after where, one of them starts attacking, or attacks Sane while the other one distracts, and that's when Dakota Kai and Io Shirai came out and fend them off. I think that would have been like the perfect way to do the interference angle. So I think that's the way it should have been done. But regardless, like I said, I liked it. I thought it kind of helped tell the story a little further.
Yeah, you got a good point on that. All right, let's move on to the next match of the night, which was, Aleister Black versus Johnny Gargano. Oh, by the way, guys, it was Shayna Baszler who retained the NXT Women's title.
Right, of course. We didn't even go over the actual results, but yeah. Shayna won.
Yeah. Kuzan says 10 stars in the Frankfurt. Ray Jr. says,
let's not say that one out loud.
Okay,
Just skip that one.
I didn't read it before I was going to say it, so.
Yeah.
JD says took 90 seconds for the interference to start. Then why not just have them walk out with Baszler and then 10 minutes to end for Kairi's friends to come out. The ref watched it all happen. He did.
Hey, we never said everything in NXT makes sense.
Sometimes they can push the envelope of the main roster. Sometimes. Not all the time. Yeah.
Anyways, what was the next match?
Yeah, Aleister Black versus Johnny Gargano. And before I forget, at the end, Aleister Black did defeat Johnny Gargano via pinfall. Come for the story and stay for the insanely stiff strikes. Can't you say?
This match was brutal. Will Ospreay was saying, take a shot for every knee strike there was. They demolished each other. Like, honestly, this match was, as strong style as it gets at this point. I really liked it, though. I think they told a great story, from start to finish with this whole, Johnny Gargano heel turn, attacking Aleister Black, whodunit type story that they were going with. And I think the match delivered. I think it blew expectations away. I predicted that Johnny Gargano was going to get the win. I thought there was no way that Aleister Black would win. But I mean, after this match, I think regardless of Johnny losing, I think it definitely made him seem like a badass. Though he definitely came out looking strong. There was no loser in this match. So, I mean, yeah, great match. They both went out there, killed each other. I think the ending was done perfectly with, the first black mass, Johnny falls into Aleister Black, and then Aleister Black says to Johnny, I absolve you of your sins, and then smacks him with the second black mass for the win. I think it was great.
What was even better for me, to be honest with you, was when the mind games started to really build up. Johnny Gargano sat down and crisscrossed applesauce like Aleister Black, and I know it was just like the mind games of for example, Velveteen Dream did last year, and it was pretty sick. I like when Aleister Black sat down in the ring, and Johnny Gargano was literally on the other side of the ring and tricked Aleister Black and then hit him with another knee. Let's be honest, Colin. In a match that might as well have taken place in Japan due to its heavy use of strong style physicality, that's what I thought this match was all about. I thought it was strong style.
Yeah, and that's what I liked with this one. It wasn't, because Johnny had taken out Aleister Black, kept him, from those paychecks for weeks. This was how this match should have gone, because more often than not, they'll tell this story of what's meant to be a blood feud. They hate each other, and then the first thing they do is collar and elbow tie up. And I mean, they might have. I can't, say I know what happened in the first 5 seconds. But I mean, they went out there and they looked like they wanted to kill each other. Like they were hitting each other with the intent to, do damage. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I really liked about this match.
This match was... I said it on Twitter after the match happened. Match of the year. I said it. But I would go on to regret saying it because of later on in the show. But Ray Jr. in the chat says, "Did you say Will Aspreay?"
I very well might have.
Will Aspreay. Colin, did you really say Aspreay?
I maybe, I don't know. I'm tired. that show wore me out.
Yeah, I don't blame you on that. Now, another question though. Well, no, not another question, but what would you grade this? The guy on CBS says A-.
I'd have to agree. That was, as close to a 5-star match as you're gonna get. I think it was fantastic. I don't really see any problems with it. Also that I just have to say to Johnny that Taupe Cone DDT whatever the fuck it was called was fantastic. Mm-hmm. Also, really quick, I need to backtrack really quick. I wanted to mention this when we were talking about it, but I'd forgotten. But holy shit, that DDT spot on the apron between Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler looked brutal. I thought Shayna was done. I was like, oh god, they're gonna call the match. They're gonna have to throw up the X. But I mean, same thing here. They were just going out there and killing each other. But yeah, I would say A-. I think this match was fantastic.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. That was a sick maneuver from both matches. JD says it's close to a form of strong style you are going to get in WWE, I suppose. Match was super fast paced. I'll be honest, it was one of the most fast paced matches recently in WWE. I'll be honest.
Oh yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of there wasn't really any rest holds. There wasn't any. I mean, they certainly had a couple of spots where they were taking their time to catch their breath or something. But I mean, that's needed. So, but yeah, this was definitely really fast paced and really full of action.
Yeah, and speaking of strong style Japan, I'll be honest with you, when Aleister Black, if he does go up to the main roster one day, I could definitely see him versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
Now that'd be a fantastic match, done correctly, of course.
Yeah, not AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah, that was upsetting.
Ray Jr. says he should have changed it to Asprey, honestly. Ray Jr., you're hilarious, I'm telling you. I guess moving on, sir?
Yep.
Actually, no, let me give the grade. I graded this an A+ match because I did say match of the year. But, like I said, regrets happen all the time now, it seems like. Alright, next match, NXT Championship, Tommaso Ciampa defeating Velveteen Dream via pinfall. And dear God,
I don't have enough good things to say about this match. I think that's how the phrase goes. This match was incredible. I mean, top to bottom, from the entrances to after the bell rang, this was fantastic. I think, and Velveteen Dream is a goddamn star. I pray to God that if he gets called up to the main roster, that they do not ruin him, which I know they will. But I hope Vince sees the star power in the Velveteen Dream. That man is a star. I absolutely loved coming out as Hollywood Hogan. As they were alluding to on commentary, he had the OVA, OVA shirt going on. I thought it was fantastic. I can't say enough good things about Velveteen Dream and Tommaso Ciampa too. I mean, they both work really well together. They weren't two guys who I would thought would have as much chemistry as they did, but these two went out there and I think blew everyone out of the water. I think what people thought was already going to be a good match turned into one of the best matches of the year. And I mean, that's to both their credit. They both went out there, and killed each other out there. I thought it was just fantastic all around.
I do want to mention this. It's kind of funny because I was thinking the same thing that the CBS dude said on this post about this match. He says basically everything I said, but he said Dream's pursuit of NXT's most prestigious title may have come up short despite a series of close near falls, but the statement he continues to make regarding his long-term future was heard loud and clear. The 23-year-old Phenom entered the ring dressed like Hollywood Hogan and hilariously mocked both the legendary heel's moves and mannerisms throughout the match. Dream wasn't simply all about stick on this night. However, he used his typically sensational aerial skills and in-ring swagger to complement Ciampa perfectly in what was an epic title match.
I think, couldn't have said it better myself. And I mean, they complemented each other, perfectly. I think, Velveteen Dream being more out there, I wouldn't classify him as a high flyer, but I would definitely, I would say he's definitely a lot more aerial than Ciampa is. I think he's definitely more of a flashy wrestler, while Ciampa's kind of a brawler, brawler, beat down machine. And I think they worked very well together. And I think the in-ring chemistry, I think, how they played off each other, it was just perfect, and it made for just an outstanding match.
Yeah. You're right on that. Let me try to send this link to the chat real quick. Oh crap. I'm trying to figure out why it's not letting me. Hang on. Okay, let me see. JD says Velveteen Dream was the best heel troll to get cheers. Dream was entertaining. Ciampa was great. Now, commentary did mention something. I don't know if it was like a hint or what. And then Ciampa also said before he made the pinfall to Velveteen, he says this was your ending in NXT. And they hinted at this on commentary.
Right. Well, I mean, I think at this point, Dream has had just a fantastic NXT, story. And I mean, and we were talking about this on the prediction show last night. Dream is one of those guys where he doesn't need to win the title. If he does, fantastic. If he doesn't, it doesn't matter. And I think Ciampa winning, which is who I predicted, was the right thing to do. I think, and I mean, I'm sure it doesn't matter regardless. But I think if Dream won, it would have been, there was a chance for them to kind of ruin the story if keeping Ciampa and Dream going. I think this was the perfect cap to their feud, and I mean, I assume what'll happen, and I mean, it's been rumored for months. I think Dream will get called up on, one of the post-Survivor Series shows. I think SmackDown would be the best place to go. I think that's where he'll be used the best. Plus, it also gives... with SmackDown going to Fox here soon, I think Dream as kind of like... And I mean this, I think Dream is going to be WWE Champion by the time his career is over, maybe even by the end of next year. I think Dream being a main event player on the new SmackDown that's going to be on Fox is the best move to go. I mean, trust me, I know Dream's character is a bit out there, and I'm sure it's, controversial to some people, but I think his character, his mic skills, the character, the in-ring work, he's a star. He is going to be the future of this company. Mm-hmm. And he's 23 years old. That's what astounds me. He has such a knowledge, and he has such, an in-ring presence that is insane for someone as young as he is. And I mean, I'm not going to say green because he's obviously not, but he has not been doing this for that long. You know, I mean, Ciampa's been doing this, you know, far longer than Dream has, and Dream is on the same level, maybe even further than him. And I mean, he's miles better than, you know, half the people on the main roster, and he's only 23. That's what, you know, makes it wild, is that he can be the guy to take this company to the next level and for years down the line. Because, I mean, you got people on the main roster in the main event scene who are in their, you know, late 30s, they're pushing 40, where Dream can do the same thing, if not better, and he's only 23. Yeah. That's what amazes me.
Yeah, and it's this, basically, to me, it's the same thing for, like, a guy like Leo Rush. He's also about the same age, and he says he is like a piece of gold, and Velveteen Dream is that as well. Ray Jr. says in the chat, maybe it was all just a dream. I love that statement, actually. It's not just funny, but it's good. JD says Dream can lose on SD like Almas every week. I don't see
SmackDown.
Yeah, Almas is not hurt yet.
I mean, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it, and I mean it. Dream is better than Almas. I think, you know, between Dream and Almas, if I had to pick one, give me the Velveteen Dream all day long. But I mean, also, and Logan, you were about to say it, I don't think Almas is ruined either.
No.
Yeah, he's lost matches, but I mean, you have to realize, and I mean, this is a thing that I think, you know, all the time, and people don't ever really, I don't think people think about it all the time. And I mean, I'm sure it's probably just because it's not how it's meant to come off. This is just me putting meaning to it. I don't really have an issue a lot of the times with, you know, newer talent losing to legends, like, you know, with Almas losing to Mysterio or Almas losing to Jeff Hardy. It's like,
or AJ, you know, Styles too.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like, and I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure Almas has the experience, and I mean, I don't know how long Almas has been wrestling and all that, but I mean, you know, he's, you know, in the world of WWE, he's new. He just got to the main roster. It's different than NXT. You know, if he's not immediately skyrocketed to being WWE champion, that doesn't mean he's ruined. That doesn't mean he's buried. Yeah, he's gonna lose to Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy's been doing this a lot, you know, in WWE a lot longer than Almas has. Yeah, it makes sense that he'll lose to someone with, you know, more experience. Let it breathe. You know, let him, you know, get his feet wet. You know, let Almas, you know, get that experience. And I mean, yeah, so I mean, I don't think Almas is ruined, but that's a whole different story for a whole different time.
Yeah, well, I'll say one thing about Almas. I don't think Vince McMahon or the guys in the back are big on him on the mic by himself. That's why he has his manager in Zelina. But
right.
I think in the long run, Dream can be... Almas has potential. I always said Almas had potential even before he moved to SmackDown Live. And I'm going to say Dream also has that as well. So, Dream... For some reason, I don't think Velveteen Dream will go to SmackDown Live now, because now thinking about it, SmackDown Live's had a couple people, you know, join the brand, like Rey Mysterio. I think they might actually end up adding him to Raw.
As long as he's used correctly, which I'm sure he won't be, but as long as he's used correctly, then I don't care where he ends up.
Good point. They didn't have anything live or a grade for the next match, which is the main event, which is... well, actually, what was your grade for Velveteen Dream's match? Mine was A+.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with an A+. I think everything from... And I think, first of all, another part of the match that I really loved was I loved all the nods to, you know, the legends that he had, because, you know, he was dressed as Hollywood Hogan. He, you know, did the Macho Man, you know, leap over the top rope thing. He had, you know, the Michaels forearm and the kip up. He did the Bret Hart corner, you know, ring post thing. He did the Flair thing. I'm sure there's another, you know, 3 or 4 legends I didn't even notice that he was doing. So, I mean, you know, I love the Velveteen Dream, and I think the selling, you know, I loved the roll up where Ciampa grabbed the tights and the ref actually noticed, and he's like, hey, now wait a minute, like I like that. And first of all, I love the near falls. I do think that near falls are, you know, an issue in wrestling nowadays where there's so many of them. I think for this match, it worked beautifully. I was on the edge of my seat every single time. It got to the point where I was like, I had no idea who was going to win this match. It could have gone either way, and I would not have been surprised. So, I mean, I love this match. I'm going to give it an A+.
Yeah, JD says in the chat, B+ on Dream and Ciampa. Fun match. I don't know. I got to give it a better grade than that, A+ as well. No, I will say everything that Velveteen Dream did with the really he paid homage to all the legends that he did, and he's a better version of what because when he, you know, when he was doing these moves for like paying homage to the legends like Hulk Hogan and all them, it wasn't in a funny way either, like Eugene from back in the day.
Right. It was meant to, you know, inflict that damage.
Yes. Like he was actually trying to win this match, and he thought, well, the only way I'm going to be able to win this match is if I use some of the Legends moves, and I like that. I like that he doesn't just pay homage to the guys, but he, you know, he's using the moves to actually try to win. So it's great. Right. But moving on to War Games, Undisputed Era taking on War Raiders, Ricochet, and Pete Dunne. Oh my God, this match.
Yeah, this match was all over the place. I loved it. I think, and I mean, I'm sure it's just because I just watched it, I'd probably have to watch the other one again. But I think this one probably edged out last year's War Games between, you know, which one was better. I think I like the rules for this one. I thought it was, you know, different because, I mean, last year you had, you know, the 3 teams of 3, and it was the 2 teams of 4 and everything. I liked the rules they did. I liked, you know, what they were doing with it. As far as the match goes, it's just insane, brutal. I think it was done perfectly. I think, and for the record, people stop complaining that there's no roof. It's better without the roof because, you know, it just is. I'm sorry. Maybe it's just because I wasn't around when the original War Games were going on, but I like the no roof better. I thought the storytelling. I loved the, you know, the kind of the subtle hinting that maybe Pete Dunne was going to turn on the rest of his team because, you know, when they was ready to let their team go first, Hanson shoved Pete Dunne back and he went next, and then on the next one, Raymond Rose shoved Pete Dunne back, and you're like, all right, guys, what the hell's happening here? And then, you know, and then there were a couple people. Pete Dunne has been injured. He hasn't wrestled in like 6 weeks because he's been having, you know, injury problems, which I forgot about. I knew he was injured, but I didn't realize he had not wrestled in so long. So I thought, you know, when Bobby Fish came out last for his team and locked him in the cage, I was thinking maybe Pete Dunne just does not get involved in this match at all. And that's how the Undisputed Era wins with, you know, the numbers game. I'm glad I was wrong. I think, you know, what they did was far better than all that. I absolutely loved the moment near the end of the match where all four of each teams had gathered on the side of the rings. They all slowly walked over. They got into that center part of the ring, and then they just started going at it again. I think all that, after all the stuff we had just seen, was just the icing on the cake, the cherry on top. Fans were going nuts. What I loved about this match and this card as a whole was that with a lot of times like a Mania or a show where there's, you know, all these matches, you know, you get those 2 or 3 matches, and you know, maybe even not that many, where it's just, you know, balls to the wall, everyone's going nuts, you know, the audience is hot, everything like that. What I liked about this card and this match is that the audience stayed on fire throughout all of it. Like, they were on fire the entire show. And that just goes to, show you that NXT is just the superior brand all around. And, they know what they're doing. Also, probably because they're not burnt out because there weren't 47 matches on the card. But I digress. So,
Jesus,
it's true, though. It's true, though.
It is true, but Jesus, that's a little overboard to even... 47. It's funny, though. I like that, Colin.
But yeah, but grade-wise, once again, I'm going to give this one an A+. I think this match was done beautifully. I loved all of it. I love the weapons. I love the storytelling. I love the drama behind it. I think... I typically hate the Tower of Doom spot because it's so overplayed. I like this one, though, because it was new. I liked it. I had not seen something like this one before. I loved Hansen when he had Bobby Fish on his back, but he's still powering through and power bombing everyone. I liked the Ricochet double moonsault, like in 720 from the top. That was sweet. I loved all of it.
Yeah. No, Ray Jr. in the chat. Actually, no. JD in the chat says, "Roof or not, don't care personally. This War Games 2 match was A+. Amazing work. Shame that Pete Dunne had a legit knee injury holding him back." Now Ray Jr. says, "When the War Raiders come out, I don't want to cheer them. I want to laugh at them." And then JD goes and says, "Black Gargano was A-. By the way, that final 3 minutes was brilliant." And it was.
Very true. Very true.
I got to give War Games an A+ as well. I like that you mentioned the Tower of Doom. You got a good point on that, though. That sometimes it's overdone, and sometimes you don't need to, just because you have all the men involved, you don't need to have a Tower of Doom all the time in every match. But this kind of match, you got to have something big, and that's having all them included was great. Every match that this guy has been involved in, he has created that spark. Okay, so, I'm going to make this, it's a weird example, but it is a good example. You know how in a football game, if your starting quarterback's playing horrible, and the backup quarterback comes in, and there's a spark that just, happens, and it just makes the game better on offense or something like that, and the fans get back into it. That is what Ricochet is to any match that he's involved in. Can we agree on that right now?
I think Ricochet... I don't think I've seen a bad Ricochet match. I mean, I'm sure there are some that aren't as great as others, but I mean, I've seen Ricochet, for the last few years, and everything he's in is, it's never bad. It's always good. It's always great. It's always fantastic. I think Ricochet is going to be, I think he's the one to really, not necessarily replace, because there's no replacing Velveteen Dream, but he's the one to kind of take his spot. Because I think Dream, gets called up sometime soon. Like I said, I hope he doesn't. I hope he stays in NXT forever. But if he doesn't, I think Ricochet is the one to kind of fill that spot of someone who you can stick him in any situation, and he is going to deliver, and he is going to give you, the best possible match that he can.
There's another guy that I think that, unfortunately, he might end up leaving NXT as well, and that is Johnny Gargano. I think his time in NXT is over and done with.
I feel like there is still something to tell with him in NXT. Maybe. I mean, they might.
But he's had so many opportunities for the title and hasn't won. I know that he just turned heel and all that, and you kind of got to give him a chance. Maybe as a heel now, he could win the title. But now that he's lost to Aleister Black, what's there left for him?
Right. What is there left for him to do? I mean, and that's kind of the sad thing, though, because if he does get called up, they're not going to use him, right? They're going to stick him on 205 Live, and it's just going to ruin it. And maybe they'll surprise me. Like I said, I'm far more optimistic about things than I think anyone else is. So who knows what they'll do? But I mean, yeah, Johnny Gargano's time is probably done. So who knows what's going to happen there? Back to War Games, though. I think my favorite spot was definitely that. I just loved when Hanson was in there and he's just going back and forth with the clotheslines, and just that dumb scream he was doing was just fantastic.
Yeah.
I think that was great. But I mean, Ricochet though, definitely one of the MVPs of the match. I think he was just fantastic all around. I liked the ending where Pete Dunne hits the bitter end on Adam Cole. And also, shout out to our guy Matt Tennant. He called it. He said that Pete Dunne would pin Adam Cole for his team. He was correct for the most part. I mean, Ricochet also did the pin. But for the most part, he was correct. I got the people right at least. I thought it'd be reversed. I digress. But yeah, so Pete Dunne hits the bitter end. Ricochet hits the 450, the 360, the whatever it is. However many times he rotates in the air, he could probably do it 4 times. And they both, stick the arm over. They both get the pin. I think that means we're not going to see the last of Pete Dunne and Ricochet. What that means for their championships is a different thing, because, I mean, that might be the way they take the belt off Pete Dunne. Maybe they give it to Ricochet. Maybe Pete Dunne becomes a double champion. Who knows? I don't know if they'll go down that route anymore. They seem to, tease that there might be a title match again, or they might not be done. But they also, they gave that sign of respect. I do like that the last shot was both of them on top of the cage. Meanwhile, their teammates, Hanson and Rowe, were just still passed out on the floor. I thought that was funny.
Yeah. Now, last year, Colin, we said we mentioned one dude that was like the star of War Games, and that I think me and you both can agree that was Killian Dane.
Oh yeah, Killian Dane was fantastic in last year's War Games match.
Who was the guy that stuck out to you the most in this match?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I think, and this is not to say that there wasn't anyone, because I mean they all did fantastic, all of them. I think they all complemented each other so well, and they all really had a chance to shine, each one of them, that I don't think there was any one of them that stuck out more than the other. I think they all, cumulatively were just fantastic all around. I do think though, as a pair, I think the War Raiders definitely showed, how great they really are. I loved War Machine when they were in NXT, and I liked them when they were on the indie scene, and I think now the War Raiders are definitely a team to be reckoned with. They're definitely they I think this match was their showcase. Because people know that everyone in the Undisputed Era is going to kick ass. Because, they saw that last year with, Fish, O'Reilly, and Adam Cole, and, Roderick Strong, who was not on the Undisputed Era's team last year, but was in last year's match teaming with the Authors of Pain. They know that those 4 can go out there and, showcase everything. We know how great Pete Dunne and Ricochet are. That was never in question. And, I mean, if you follow them, you know that War Machine and the War Raiders now are going to be, ass kickers. But, with War Raiders, they weren't, I think they were definitely, popular, but, some of the people might not, entirely know how great they can be. And I think this match was a great way to, to showcase, how awesome they were going to be. I think Bobby Fish was definitely another one where, this was, I think, his first match back since injury.
Yes,
I don't know if he's had...
You're right.
Yeah, his first match back since injury. I think, he showed that he hasn't skipped a beat. I think he's still... It baffles me that he's 39. I did not know that until the other day when I saw someone had mentioned that he's 39, and I was like, are you really? He's about to be 40, which is insane to me. And so I think he was I think he was great. Like I said, I just think everyone in this match went out there, gave it the best they can, and really showcased just how great all 8 of these competitors were.
Yeah, you're right. Now last year, like I said, Killian Dane was that guy that stood out to me the most. JD has a point. Adam Cole was great, while Bobby Fish was the MVP with his spots and locking Pete Dunne in the cage. Another thing for me is you mentioned War Raiders as a whole. I want to say the guy that stood out the most because in this match was not Pete Dunne, not Ricochet, not Adam Cole, it was Hanson.
Hanson. I definitely did think I liked during the match. I did kind of see a compare, and I mean they're both fucking huge people with big ass beards and long hair. So I mean there's obviously going to be that comparison. But I did kind of see a Killian Dane as performance from Hanson in that match for sure.
Yeah, and did he really hit a springboard like did he really do like a Tajiri type move in that match?
Well, I think the move in question was when I love this spot. Kyle O'Reilly had Ricochet in kind of like a triangle hold on the table, and then Hanson got on the top rope from the other ring, mind you, and leaped over the other ring onto the table, which I just thought was fantastic. I thought at that point, like, okay, well, Kyle O'Reilly's been killed. By the way, I want to point out, I don't think it'll be mentioned because I think there was a slight mess up. I did notice though during the match they tried to kind of do a repeat of last year's one where Kyle O'Reilly swings the chair and it's supposed to bounce off the rope and hit him in the head. Kyle O'Reilly missed his own head, which whatever. I don't know how you miss your own head when you're trying, but to each their own. So, but I mean, Hanson was involved in that. But I like the nod to last year's match with that one, though. Also, this is not breaking news by any means, but this is just something I thought I would add. This is from Sean Ross of Fightful.com. He's a credible source, at least. He and I believe he's watching the Triple H conference call right now. He said that Pete Dunne had broken a bone in his foot, and they eased into this match. So I mean, yeah, Pete Dunne definitely was already injured going into this match, and I mean, and that's just a credit to how great Pete Dunne is doing. War Games, this monstrosity of a match with a broken bone in his foot.
Oh man, see that's. Now I can see why he was locked in the cage and all that now. I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely made him go last. That way he didn't have to do, and that.
I like another thing that really makes him look even stronger and even better is he wanted to get in the match so bad and everybody kept saying, nope, I'm going next. I'm going next.
Right, exactly.
That's smart booking right there, because then that just makes him look strong.
I mean, I knew Pete Dunne was injured, and I knew that once they did the first one where it was Hanson saying, no, I'm going, I knew at that point it was like, okay, so, they're saving Pete Dunne to go in last. And I mean, especially, with Bobby Fish locking him in the cage and them still giving him time, they definitely, and I mean, Pete Dunne still went out there and gave a hell of a performance, because, I mean, I still think the match went on for another 20 minutes after Pete Dunne was introduced into the actual cage anyways. But, I mean, they definitely wanted to make sure he didn't have to do, a majority of, the match. That way they can, make sure he doesn't injure himself any further.
Ray Jr. does have a point, though. He says, I'm so confused. So if you get one concussion to concussions, you're out, like, almost a year. But if you have a broken bone, you can still wrestle.
I mean, to each their own. I think concussions and a broken bone are slightly different in the realm of injuries, especially because with a broken bone, you can break it further, but at the same time, that'll heal. If you're wrestling with a concussion and you take a smack to the head, you could die. You can, get some serious brain injuries. So, I mean, there definitely is a difference as far as, between letting someone wrestle.
Football players do it all the time, too.
Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, they get the CTE problems and everything. So, I mean, definitely, a difference.
I mean, how many times have players been out with concussions in NFL now? even if they show small signs of a concussion, they're out for the game majority of the time. But if you're fucking a Tony Romo or a Peyton Manning, you go to the back at halftime, get a fucking pain injection, and you're back out there the next fucking possession. So I guess that's with WWE as well. Ray Jr. also said something smells like Bobby Fish.
Also, I'm very excited for this new prospect X-Pac. He got the spotlight during the show. I think he's going to be a big star in NXT. I'm very excited for his debut.
There is rumors that X-Pac has actually been asked to wrestle again in WWE, so he might end up actually coming into NXT.
Oh, God. I meant it as a joke, but I might actually be right. Good God.
Yeah, I read this a couple weeks ago, so I kind of see why they had him show up at...
I mean, who knows? Maybe he does do something.
I swear to God, if this rumor is true from back weeks ago, then Jesus.
But I mean, altogether, I think this show, just top to bottom, it got better and better and better.
Yeah.
And with War Games, like I said, I got to give it an A+. I think, the only thing that could have made it better if Pete Dunne was at like 100% and could have gone even more crazy because I mean, even still with a broken foot essentially, he still went out there and wrecked himself in that ring. So I mean, he definitely gave it all that he could.
Mhm. Now I will say, we said, me, you, and Matt both said that this show was going to be an A, and we were like, we're not going to be wrong at all. There's no way in hell we're going to be wrong. And
I would bet someone puts a gun to my head and says, do you think a TakeOver show is going to be bad? I would bet my life on there never being a bad TakeOver show. And I mean, knock on wood, but, with the talent NXT has and everything, these shows are always going to deliver. And I mean, yeah, like we said last night, we knew going into this, the show was going to, be great, and the show wasn't going to be bad, and we were right. And I mean, I don't think this was I would put this one in the top 5 best takeovers. I don't know if I'd stick it at 1. I might put this in the top 3. I think the New Orleans show was definitely very good too. So I mean, I think I'd have to watch that one, watch this one, to really get an idea. But I mean, this was one of the best takeovers there's been, hands down, no question in my mind. So I mean, and JD in the chat saying not the best takeover of the year, but very good, So yeah, I think, like I said, I think this was a great takeover. I think it was one of the best we've seen from all the takeovers, and like I said, there's never going to be a bad takeover.
Mm-hmm. Ray Jr., come on now. X-Pac and Kurt Hawkins should be a tag team.
I'm sold. Put the belts on them immediately.
JD says X-Pac /6 wrestling in 2018. He said no thanks. Before we head off, I do want to say this NXT Takeover. We all said it was going to be an A, and it was an A+.
Exactly.
That's my personal opinion. So you agree with me there, Colin?
100%.
Okay, good. Now, before we get off, though, I do want to say Impact Wrestling reportedly in talks with several networks for a new TV deal, since they will be leaving Pop TV after their contract is up. And Pop TV is reportedly looking to sign with Arrow Lucha and actually airing them and replacing Impact Wrestling. The top 3 networks that could be picking up Impact Wrestling is True TV, which is not a big company, but
it's not a big network, but I mean it is definitely decent. It's one that people have access to.
Yeah, besides me, for some reason. Xfinity doesn't get True TV, you have to pay extra for it now. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
WGN, that's not the biggest either.
I think WGN already had Impact at one point as well. I know that's where fucking Superstars used to air back in the day when Superstars was still a thing.
Yeah, and then the biggest one out of the top 3 is Sci-Fi. Is looking to get
Sci-Fi picking up Impact would be interesting, especially due to the fact that Sci-Fi was the home of SmackDown for years. Because after SmackDown left MyTV, that Sci-Fi was its home from the early 2010s up until earlier in 2018, I think. So I mean that'd be interesting.
Yeah, and Sci-Fi is actually kind of co-owned with USA Network too, so it kind of makes sense.
Right.
So
we'll see.
Ray Jr. in the chat says one last thing I want to say. Nothing can beat the Starrcade 1997 main event.
That goes right over my head. I don't know if he's being serious or not. I wasn't born in 1997.
Yeah.
What was the 1997 Starrcade event?
I honestly don't remember. Sorry.
Sting defeating Hollywood Hogan. Oh boy.
Well, you heard it there. Yeah. And then another thing also, one last news for everybody to know is James Ellsworth was pulled from Survivor Series weekend appearance at where was he supposed to be appearing? He was supposed to appear at Jimmy's Famous Seafood in Maryland to do a live recording of Robbie E's Why It Ended podcast. And now
he's done. His podcast has been completely deleted from the internet. His co-host, the day of, already had said that the podcast is over. They deleted his episodes from the internet. All of his indie appearances have all been canceled for the most part. I believe he deleted. I was friends with James Ellsworth on Facebook.
So was
Fun fact. His account has been deactivated. I've seen the proof of the videos and pictures in question. He's done for. He's never wrestling again. They already don't, but I mean they're never mentioning him in WWE ever again. They're never gonna, who was Braun Strowman's first squash match opponent? We don't know. Yeah. Who helped Carmelo win the first Money in the Bank? Jesus, he's done.
See, I wasn't gonna mention this on the show. I said this in the group chat on Twitter. I was just like, I'm not gonna mention it unless I get the full truth and I see that there's majority of the truth that has come out, and there's just too much of it. And then the video that I watched earlier, Colin, if you want the link, I will send it to you. Of the 16-year-old girl did make a video explaining.
The video's been out for a few days. That was one of the first things people were getting info from when all this news broke. So I've seen that video, and it ain't looking good for old Jimmy Dream.
Yeah, and also the person that's replacing James Ellsworth at the podcast is also appearing as a guest on this podcast will be ECW original Francine, and replacing James at this event will be none other than former WWF Light Heavyweight Champion Gilbert.
What a replacement.
What a replacement that is right there.
It's like replacing one piece of shit with a slightly shinier piece of shit.
The funny thing is, James Ellsworth actually, there's a story that a lot of people don't know.
Is it the one where Gilbert was James Ellsworth's custodian at his school?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I like that story.
Yep.
Now it's ruined forever, but because James Ellsworth apparently can't stay out of high schools, but
woof. Woof. JD in the chat.
I think now it's time to. I think it's time to sign off at that point.
Yeah. One last thing that JD said about the Impact Wrestling thing. He said WGN is basic cable for most of the United States, and Sci-Fi would actually be pretty cool. That I think if you really want to get Impact Wrestling back on the map a little bit more, Sci-Fi is not the worst choice.
I think if you want to get it back onto like a major like network, Sci-Fi
is the best choice.
is definitely the way to go, because I mean, I think more people. I mean, even if you still have access to both Sci-Fi and WGN, Sci-Fi is definitely a better name, and it's definitely going to be the more popular one. So Sci-Fi would definitely be the way to go if
True
they can
TV
get
as
that deal.
well. True TV is not.
Well, I mean, I would rank it from like WGN to True TV to Sci-Fi. True TV is still also a popular network, but Sci-Fi is definitely, I think, where they're going to get the more viewership, because it's still easier access to more people, just because they know, where it is.
Yes, if True TV were to get it, I'll be honest with you, put it on Thursday nights, 9 p.m., and then you have Impact Wrestling, and then majority of the people will tune into Impractical Jokers at 10 p.m., so that's a smart choice.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Plus it works out that the Impractical Jokers are wrestling fans.
Yep, you're right. JD also says if it goes to WGN, it would probably need to be more PG. That's a good point as well. Sci-Fi, you have a little bit more of a leeway,
right,
on like that kind of stuff. I don't know if USA's involved with Sci-Fi. You might have to push a little bit of PG too, but Sci-Fi's a little bit more.
Well, I think Sci-Fi and USA might be owned by the same, like, broader company, but I think they still have their own, like, different people in charge.
Because I know they both have Harry Potter movies on together at the same time.
Right.
And stuff like that. There's a lot of TV companies lately that has been, like, signing on together and just trying to make both channels relevant and big time. And I think it's smart.
It's because TV as a whole is dying, but I mean...
Yeah, it is. Speaking of it, I just read in the comment section on WrestleZone.com about Impact Wrestling. Somebody did make a good thought here. He says Lucha Underground has done very well on Netflix. Why don't they just add Impact Wrestling to Netflix?
They're taking Lucha Underground off of Netflix at some point. And I mean, meanwhile, I'm here like, guys, I've been waiting for season 3 to drop so I can watch it, and you just take away 1 and 2. But I mean, Impact on Netflix would be an interesting thing, especially if they, if it was a weekly thing, like they, But I mean, that would also get rid of them doing it live, because I mean, Netflix does not do live programming, so I mean, that would be an interesting concept.
Yeah, you're right. You're right on that one.
Granted, I suppose Impact now is also still not live. They still tape months in advance.
Yes,
but I mean,
they do.
It's still the different dynamic between airing a show that has already been taped, but they're still airing it live, and then just releasing the episode all at once for you to watch whenever.
Rock, I guess I'm going to throw the shout out to Rocky. He's always saying some good stuff. Said NXT Takeover was great because the talent gets to do what they want. Pete Dunne is a workhorse. X-Pac will be back in wrestling. Anyone's friends with Triple H are always welcome to work in WWE after they resign or something. Not necessarily. I mean, Billy Gunn can't wrestle or do anything in WWE because of steroids now.
I'm sure Billy Gunn will be back at some point, knowing WWE.
And Rocky asked, Logan, are you the one who shared the Ellsworth nude videos? No, I only shared gems. Drink a beer, play a game. But, Colin, I guess we can end this. We had a decent run, an hour and 8 minutes, so...
Mm-hmm.
Wow, JD says that Lucha Underground was taken off Netflix on November 14th. Wow.
I knew it was supposed to be sometime this month. I just didn't know the exact date, but yeah.
Huh.
So and Netflix does that. I mean, it might be back at some point. I don't know what their whole deal is going to be, so we'll see. I watched seasons 1 and 2 before they got taken off, so I mean, I was fine.
Yeah, you're right. But Colin, I guess we can end this post show. We will be back tomorrow night, and we will have Travis on for the Survivor Series post-show. Colin, go ahead and plug yourself like nobody else can.
Please never word it like that ever again. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm on that Brock Lesnar podcast schedule. I do the Big Fours, and that's it. So, I mean, who knows where you're going to see me next? I like to call it, like, I'm going to call it the Brock Lesnar indie schedule. I do Big Four shows, but I might be like those occasional wrestlers that make appearances in, like, Evolve or something like that. I might make appearances elsewhere. Who knows?
He just does not do house shows.
Exactly. I don't do house shows. Gotta make it worth my while, or send me to Australia or Saudi Arabia, whichever one, wherever the money is.
That's also a house show, though.
Right, but yeah. So I mean, look out for me. The best way to find out what I'm doing, where I'm gonna be, if I'm gonna be doing anything, is Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at UberTieGuy. Always tweeting about wrestling. You know, check out the live tweets, everything like that.
Yep. Thanks, Colin, for coming on with me since Matt fell asleep. You guys can check me out, like always, at Logan Myers 144 on Twitter. And we will see you again tomorrow night. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for everybody in the chat as well.